What's good, family? So I'm here to make a very important video, very special video about really what's going on the West Coast and what's been going on the West Coast for the last 30 years and how this is just now coming to fruition. Okay. So we're going to focus in on Nury Martinez. Okay. And we know the situation right now in terms of what's going on. This is the president of the Los Angeles City Council, who was recorded in private conversation referring to a fellow city council person's black child as a little monkey. We're talking about a 2-year-old little child. Okay, in the context of the situation, apparently they were on some float together, her and this city council member who was the father of this young black boy who must be, I think, is adopted. Okay, because the father of the child is like a Caucasian guy. Okay, and they're on this float together, and the woman and other city council members were around the little 2-year-old boy. And sometime later, this woman is heard in conversation, reflecting back on that time, referring to the little boy as being unruly and he's this and he's that. And she want to take him behind the room somewhere and discipline him and get him together, and refers to him as a little monkey. But the thing that's interesting is that she referred to him as a monkey using the Spanish language, okay? The Spanish language. It's so interesting that all this is coming out not far from election season. Okay. November's a month away. Okay. We also know that a lot of people in the social media sphere, okay, black social media sphere, okay, the FBA community have been talking about the racism that's coming out of people, certain members, okay, within this community. Okay, we can't look at these things as mere coincidence. Now we see that Joe Biden is calling or has called for her resignation. And we see announced earlier today that she in fact did resign. Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen with you guys and show you guys what's going on. But I want to say a few things before I even get started. Okay. I need you guys to understand that this is not a game. This is not a joke. See, you have to understand this, right? It's one thing to know that somebody is your enemy and say, that person over there is my enemy. That person over there don't like me. I cannot expect anything good from that person to help and benefit me. That's one thing. But it's another thing for you to be looking over here to the left and saying that those are my allies. That's where there's a coalition. Those are my people of color brothers and sisters. You have this in your brain and you're voting, reflecting this idea or this philosophy that those people are going to, in some magical way, pass policies and different things of this sort that's going to somehow help you. When the reality is, these people is every bit as much. I'm not trying to generalize here, but I'm saying what this woman have just revealed about herself is that she is in no way, shape, or form able to represent all of the people in the city of Los Angeles at all. At all. And she's, you notice her comments, what you won't find her saying is really anything negative towards whites. But she's going to find a way to speak something negative about a black person. Okay. It's anti-blackness and it is racism. And I need my brothers and sisters to understand this. I need y'all to understand this. Don't be fooled when it's time to vote, thinking that people on the left have your back, that people on the left is where your agendas need to be. Listen, it's just as much racism over there as it is over here. It's just that over there is directed in your face. Over here is more closeted, and it's going to be said when you leave the room. It's going to be said in a language that you don't understand. Black people in California, I've been in California basically my whole life. I'm telling you, there is a lot of racism, okay, from certain members in the Hispanic community. And I'm telling you right now that it is intrinsic to, in other words, there's a certain fabric of that community and culture that is anti-black in itself. And that people, I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. I'm going to keep it 100, okay? At least, and I'm just going to speak for real now. I ain't trying to sugarcoat nothing. At least white folks are going to sit back and see what you do and how you carry yourself and how you speak and make their judgments of you as a Black person based on that. They're not going to reveal or have any real bias towards you until they see how you are. Okay. But I'm talking about the racism on the left from this community, brother. It don't matter what you do. It don't matter how you come. Their mind is made up as soon as they see the color of your skin. Oh, negro, pinche negro, all that. Brother, I'm telling you all the truth. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm not telling you what I feel. I'm telling you what I know. And again, I'm not saying this is all. I ain't even going to say this is the majority, but there is enough of it to the point where people have been calling this out for a long time. Black people go to the grocery store. I remember my grandfather going to the grocery store telling me when he was a little kid, when I was a little kid going to the grocery store, you know what I'm saying? The certain people from that community, you know, stand behind him in the grocery store and be saying little things in Spanish on the job, saying little things in Spanish. I remember when I was a manager at a company in Madeira, okay, which was a city that I used to work in, okay, in the middle of the Central Valley where a lot of illegal immigrants come, okay? And I remember being there, and I remember one of my Black associates, a woman coming to me telling me, she's a new worker, telling me these people, when I come around, they only will speak Spanish. They'll be speaking this. We're talking about, I'm not talking about 50-year-old Hispanic people. I'm talking about young Hispanic people who know both English and Spanish. She said, I'll be there, and when I step away, they're speaking in both languages. They're supposed to be training her on how to do a certain task. When I come around, this is what she's telling me, they only speak in Spanish. And then I go and then I got to have a meeting with the whole group to tell them that you guys need to make sure that our non-Spanish speaking associates are up to speed. So when you're having group meetings, I'm going to ask that you speak in English, because everyone here understands English. There was nobody who was like Spanish speaking who did not understand English as well. So training needs to happen in English. And then the same people, and then the next day when we come in, they're making it seem like I told somebody you can't speak Spanish. That's not what I said. I said when you're having so all these little games. And before I share my screen, I'm gonna say this. Listen, I wouldn't care if the illegal immigrants were Black. Okay. It is stupid as hell for someone to say, or for a law to exist that says, if people break into my country illegally, okay, if they cross my border illegally and have a child here, that child should be given automatic citizenship in my country. That is stupid. And I wouldn't care if they were Black. What y'all need to understand, and again, that's a dumb policy. What y'all have to understand about certain people in the community that I'm talking about, you don't understand the psychology of these people. I'm telling you, you don't. Let me say some light. A lot of these people, in their heart of hearts, believe that this land is theirs, and basically they're at war with America. And they don't have a problem with illegal immigration, in part because they believe that the land was stolen. So when the illegal immigrants come here illegally, we should just excuse them because America stole this land anyway. They're not openly telling you this with their mouths, but I'm telling you the psychology of people, because I'm not telling you what I think. I'm not telling you what I feel. I'm telling you what I know. So the net of that, the fruitage of that is people like this. People who are boastful in their I don't give a fuckness, okay? And they hate, a lot of them, they have a low-key hatred for Black Americans because of the amount of power that we have. They want it. They want it, the influence, the voice, the power. Okay? You know, when the NAACP, even in the civil rights movement, when Dr. King marched, he didn't just march for Black people. He didn't just march for Black people. He marched for all people. If you're a woman who voted, who plans on voting, I don't care your race, you should go thank an old Black person. You should go find an old Black person from the South who was forced to sit on the back of the bus and thank them. Oh, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? That sounds ridiculous. Why would I do that? That just sounds ridiculous, right? It is ridiculous. But you know, the reality of it is, the reality is that women and people from the LGBT community and other people from different minority groups all benefited from Black people's oppression. Because when Dr. Martin Luther King set forth the civil rights movement, he looked out for all. He laid a precedence to look out for all of y'all. A Black man set a precedence for all of y'all to get y'all benefits. He fought for all of y'all. But I've said it once and I'll say it again. Is that love reciprocated? Is that love reciprocated by people from these communities who have benefited from the suffering of Black people? I'm gonna share my screen. I am going to share my screen. This ain't gonna be a long video. Desktop 1. Let's get it cracking. Excuse me. In a moment of intense frustration and anger, I let the situation get the best of me, and I hold myself accountable for these comments, and for that I am sorry. You know, what was this intense moment of frustration and anger? What is the moment of intense frustration and anger? What is it based on? Why were you so frustrated? Could this be her? What this sounds like to me is someone who's trying to justify what they did. She wants you to feel sorry for her. I was frustrated because I was thinking about the way this little monkey boy was acting, and, you know, listen, here's the thing that basically racist Hispanics have to understand. We've already been through this. We've seen all these tricks before. We've already gone through this. We're not going to go through this twice with your people. We're just not. And the crazy thing is, white people are not going to go with this. White people are not going to deal with the repercussions of your stupidity, because they know, just like how I said, we've already we're 60 years past this. You can't be a political representative and be referring to little Black children as monkeys. And how is it that we're trying to align Black people with you and lump you together and call you people of color, so that when Black people get what is theirs, when Black people get, dare I say, reparations, when people of color get business grants and so on and so forth, we're going to lump these same people in with Black folks. What harm have Black people done to you? What harm did this little 2-year-old do to you for you to call him a little monkey? You just don't like Black people. That's what we get from this. You just don't like Black people. And it's a lot of people from that community who will smile in your face, but they just don't like Black people. They're not dealing with Black people like that. They're not going to tell you to your face, but they don't. Joe Biden calls for resignations of LA City Council member as racist remarks royal City Council. See, again, the white man on the left, he realized that you may have just fractured the Democratic Party. You may have just fractured the Democratic Party with your foolishness. Black people and Hispanic people who are good-hearted and good, you know, have good hearts and good minds know that what you did, what you just said was wrong and shameful. And you make the Democratic Party look stupid and worse than the right. You make them look worse than the people that we're trying to convince Black people that they're racist. The people on the left is trying to say, no, Blacks don't know. Black woman in particular, Black woman. You know, I'm your homeboy. Come on, Black woman. You know, I've been had your back. Not Miss Martinez. No, you better look out. You better look out. If this is how she's talking around, you got to keep in mind, she was around a bunch of elected officials, nothing but elected officials in that room when she's talking. And this is how she's talking in that environment. Imagine how this woman talks when nobody is present. You can only imagine some of the things that this woman says about Black people when nobody is there. She is not fit to serve in any political seat in the United States of America, not post-civil rights. She's moving this country backwards. Black people, wake up. The Democratic Party is not your friend. And I'm not saying the right is your solution either. I'm saying that stop believing the hype and all this nonsense that these people are your allies, right? People have to let it. Listen, here's what I always say. Love is a 4-letter word that requires action. When people say that they love you or that they're your ally, listen, don't believe a damn thing they're talking about. Believe the actions. Believe not what they say, but what they do. That is what you need to believe. Okay? You give what they say, wait, but what they do says more. For real. And until we start seeing some results, until we start seeing things, until reparations pass, to be honest with you, I don't want to hear it. We don't have allies. It's tokenism. It is what it is. I'm not going to accept anything less. I'm not going to accept anything less. Okay. Again, you better wake up and realize what's going on. You better wake up and realize what is going on. Okay. It don't take a brain surgeon. It don't take a scientist to understand what is going on out here in California. And listen, you think it's just a California thing. See, people on the East Coast, people down south and all this and that, people up north. Oh, that's just out there in the West Coast. That's what we used to say back in the day. When you start seeing the numbers kind of change, you say that oh yeah, that's over there. That's over there. 10 years later, you look up, damn, you know what I'm saying? You go back to the hood and you don't even recognize the place. Where did such and such go? Who is it? I'm telling you, what y'all don't understand, tens of hundreds of thousands of people is crossing into this country illegally every single month over that border. I said every month. The data is on the internet. The data is online. Look at the number of border interactions, the number of border patrol interactions that happen every single month. They're not catching all those people. They're not catching everybody who's trying to cross this border. Okay, period. They're not. Okay. So, and in addition to that, the reason why this is actually a tremendous health and safety issue, even on a bigger level, is because of the drugs. When you go to any city, any major city on the West Coast, I don't know what it's looking like down south and on the East Coast, but we have a tremendous homeless population problem. Tremendous homeless population problem. And the majority of the people who are homeless, I'm telling you right now, there's a field not too far from where I stay, and you got all kinds of problems going on out there. I'm going to tell you guys right now, majority of the homeless people, they're not what you think they are. They're not people, oh, they just falling down on their luck and this, that, and the third. No. You're leaving out the elephant in the room, which is the drugs. The drugs are tearing these people up mentally. Okay, so you put mental illness and you couple that with drugs and you create chaos. Where are those drugs coming from? The southern border. The southern border. Why are the Chinese helping the cartels to perfect creating fentanyl? White people are suffering the most from what's going on with the southern border, because it's white folks who are I'm talking about. When I look outside, I'm talking about 90% of the homeless people in this field that I'm talking about are white. For real. I'm not capping. These are white people coming around here you know what I mean? For real. It's sad. It's really sad. And they'll tell their kids, stay away from the blacks. The blacks are criminals. The blacks are this. The blacks are that. The blacks are this. Blacks don't make cocaine. Blacks don't make fentanyl. Oh, but because you got a little nickel and dime hustler, black kid on the street selling the little drugs that's coming from over there, that's where the brunt of your anger goes. It's just to feed. It's racism. It's racism. The ones behind all the madness are those people over there in the South American countries. But you want to blame and have all this hostility and anger towards this little black kid making the little $100 here and there, $60, $40, $20. That cartel member is shipping tons of fentanyl into this country. You don't have no smoke for him. You don't have no racist. Oh, he's just trying to feed his familia, and he's got to do what he has to do, and all. This is what you got to say about that. You need to realize where the real threat is at. It's not the only way you could say that this black person is the threat is if you are basically racist, because in reality, when you actually weigh the two, the bigger threat is the kingpin, is the boss, is the one who understands the shipping routes. He knows the shipping routes. He knows how the drugs are getting into the country. He knows who to contact to get the drugs here. In other words, it's not going to ever stop until you deal with the source of the problem. You're dealing with the problem on the end. You're dealing with the end of it. And you have all this anger and hostility. Listen, here's my question. Why weren't black people who are strung out on crack cocaine treated like victims? The way they treat these white fentanyl addicts, like victims, like, oh, they need help and this, that. No, when the black folks were strung out on crack cocaine, they was locking black folks up, lock you in a jail cell, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 100 years. This country, man. It's like, things haven't changed. They've just evolved. Like racism, you know what I'm saying? It's a condition of people. Anti-blackness in particular, to be more specific, it's a condition of certain people. And it hasn't left the hearts and minds of people. It really hasn't. I would love to hear what y'all think on this topic of discussion, family. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you think. Until we chat again, it's Urban Politics, and I'm checking out on y'all. Deuces.